I mean, that's unbelievable. I got a call probably has to be over it's close to 30 years ago. It's over 25 years ago. I got a call to do a session once with Justin Hayward. Well, it was with the Moody Blues. That's what the booking said. But as I came to find out, it was with Justin Hayward and two other guys from the group came through. The flute player and I don't remember which the other guy was. They were basically a trio at that point, I believe. I didn't know a lot about the Moody Blues, other than, of course, hearing their songs quite a bit on classic rock radio, which at the time, I don't think it was even called classic rock. It was just rock. But growing up, you had to know of Nights in White Satin and maybe Tuesday Afternoon, just a singer in a rock and roll band, whatever. I didn't, as a kid, because I was into rock and playing rock guitar so much. This is the morning coffee thing. I will admit that the Moodys were not one of my favorite things in the world. In fact, it was kind of like, oh my God, Nights in White Satin again. I want to hear Van Halen or something like that. Like, when are they going to play Van Halen? Why do they got to keep playing this Moody Blues stuff and Eric Clapton? But this leads me to the time where I'm in the studio now with Justin. And yeah, it was sort of like, hey, I'm feeling myself as far as being an up-and-coming recording engineer, producer guy. At the time, very much mostly an engineer. And I was recording vocals for some album that somebody was doing with Broadway tunes sung by classic rock musicians. And one of them happened to be this song, and I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was something like This Is the Moment. I think maybe it was from Phantom of the Opera. I'm not sure. And the guy that was putting this album together decided he wanted the Moodys to be the singers on this particular track. So the track was already done. I don't remember recording any instruments. It was just vocals. And so I got to meet Justin, who I guess probably was, if I'm doing the math right, he must have been about 50 at the time. British dude, of course, very easygoing. Set up the mic for him. I'm 99% sure it was either a U-47, probably a U-47 because it was the Moody Blues. Could have been a 414. Could have been. And I remember hitting record, and this was definitely on tape. I remember hitting record, and this guy starts singing, and all of a sudden, you hear him hit a certain note with a certain vowel, and the hair on your arm stand up because you're like, oh yeah, that's the guy. That's him. That's the guy that sang and sings Nights in White Satin. I took vocal lessons for a little bit when I was late teens or maybe early 20s. And it was like one of those aha moments when someone says something to you and you go like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. Like the vocal coach said to me is like, you only sing vowels. So we're going to work on A's and E's and ahs and oohs and ohs. I was like, yeah, I never thought about that. You only sing vowels. Like, of course, obviously. But anyway, to that point with Justin, when he sang a certain vowel, I don't remember which one it was, You know, he hit a certain vowel in a certain pitch, and the whole room kind of shook. Like, oh my God, that's, and his tone is exactly the same. And he just did this interview with Rick Beato, um, and he's still exactly the same as I remember him. Super sharp, super funny, very into music, but also like just an honest, good dude. He told me, like, we would hang out in the lounge. He would tell little bits of stories and stuff. I don't even know how they came up. It was just conversation. And maybe he was trying to. I think he kind of knew that I didn't really know anything about the Moodys. I didn't know that they called themselves the Moodys. That's all he referred to them as, the Moodys. Yeah, with the Moodys this, the Moodys that. And he said to me, as far as I know, out of nowhere, he was like, yeah, every year we say, you know, that's it. I might have asked him, like, what are you on tour right now? And he's like, yeah, we're on tour. And he goes, every year we say to our wives and maybe amongst ourselves, like, this is it. No more tours. Tired of this. It's exhausting. He goes, and then we'll sit down with the accountant and he'll go, yeah, this is what you will make if you go on this tour that they're offering. He goes, and then we go back out on tour. It was. He also did one real funny thing, which was we were sitting in the lounge and he's looking through. Back then, you used to have like a binder of menus in New York City in the recording studios. It was like this. Somebody actually had a job to do where like photocopy all the menus of all the restaurants around here that deliver, so that when the artists want to order food, they can look through this binder of menus and pick out what food they want, and then you tell the runner or the assistant runner, like, hey, this is what we need, and here's the credit card. Or, you know, back then there were food budgets. You would just order food and the session would pay for it. Eventually you'd pay back as an artist, but there were food budgets. I don't even know if that exists anymore. But sitting there with Justin, and he said, Tony, I think I'd like to order some food. And I said, well, you know, whatever, look through the book or whatever, you know, whatever you want, we'll tell the assistant and he'll order it up. Because I found something, it's at this noodle shop. It's a soba noodle or something like that. And he goes, but I just want this simple noodle dinner or whatever. I said, all right. So I tell the kid. A couple of minutes later, we get a phone call into the lounge. Hey, like the minimum order at the restaurant for delivery is $15, and your order is only like $9 or something like that. And I said, oh, Justin, the front desk is on the phone. They're saying your order isn't big enough for delivery. It's got to be over $15, and yours is only $9. And he's like, I tell you what, I'll take the hit, and just tell them to charge me the $15 for the noodles. Yeah, everything was just very easygoing with the guy. He was just a pleasure to work with. One thing I noticed from the Beato interview that Rick is able to do that you're really never able to do if you're actually working with an artist. At least we never discussed how anything was done in the past. It was, you were in the moment, you were there working, you weren't a fan. It was sort of understood, like, we're peers, we're here to work together, and we're here to work on what's going on right now. artists weren't interested in you asking them at that time, like, hey, by the way, how did you get that snare drum on? You might be able to pull it off with certain people here or there, like very quickly, like, what vocal mic are you used to using? Something like that. But you would never say, like, when you play the guitar, do you do this? Because, for one, you never wanted to distract them from what they were working on at the moment. You don't want to take an artist off track of being present. You don't want them going backwards and thinking like, oh my God, yeah, I'm never going to outright Nights in White Satin. What did I do on that guitar part? Why was that magical and all that kind of stuff? I have one thing dialed up. It's like, for those of you who aren't into, and I'm still not like a big moody blues guy by any means, but there's no denying when you hear something like Nights in White Satin that it's a work of art. And like it or not, if you listen to these type of things now, you can see where other things come from. Like, there would be no Hosier without Moody Blues. And there would be, listen to this drum thing. I can play a little bit without getting a copyright strike, I guess. Check this out. Listen to this snare drum in this break in Nights in White Satin. I think I got it. Let me go back a little bit. I mean, that's unbelievable. Especially the way that was recorded and bounced from 4-track to another 4-track while they were doing overdubs. The other thing he talks about quite a bit in the Beato thing that Rick doesn't get is that, like, that artists didn't spend all their time in the control room, that they just cut the tracks and eventually heard it. The reason why they didn't even really need to go in and listen was because the performances were just there, and they were used to hearing these things that they had not just created in the studio. These were songs that they were playing and rehearsing and playing and rehearsing, and it was like walking down the street for a guy like Justin and for the Moodys. Coffee in the morning. Quick little one.